Happy Monday, and in this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, it is Rookie Watch Volume 6. We're going to talk about Alex Sarr's strong performance in Mexico, Zaccharie Risacher's somewhat of a bounce-back game, Jared McCain had a big game, but more importantly, I have two subjects that I want to get off my chest.
Talk to
Free Reed Sheppard, and should Jaylen Wells start for the Memphis Grizzlies? Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my co-host, none other than my brother, James Barlowe. And before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is sponsored by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. And if you are a new customer, you can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So just win your first $5 bet, you'll get $150 in bonus bets. Check out FanDuel.com or visit FanDuel.com to get started. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode. I have a ridiculous goal. I want to see if we can do 40 episodes this month. We're going to double up talking about the rookies, and also we're going to cover college basketball, which I'm pretty sure this is what you're here for. College basketball starts today. We have a preview coming up for the Big 12 conference after this, and we're going to cover all the top conferences. All right, let's get started. But I wanted to talk about Alex Sarr. I wanted to start off with Alex Sarr. He had his best game of his pro career, 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks against the Miami Heat down in Mexico. What were your overall thoughts about his performance?
Much better. Trending in the right direction. He only took 4 threes. I think he took 11 shots.
Yep.
But he took 4 threes. They weren't, early threes. They were open threes. I believe he made 1. I take it. But he is showing flashes. It looks like it's starting to click. Again, his best offensive game of the season. Grab and go ability, grabbed a few rebounds, pushed it up the court. He shot some, I guess you call them floaters. Whether you think those finishes are soft or not, he's trying to finish on Bam. Bam is a premier defender. He had a couple finishers on him. But you can obviously tell he needs to add strength because, it's like a good and bad. It's good that he's making those. It's good that he shows touch around the basket, those floaters. But at the same time, you want him finishing at the rim and not necessarily being pushed off his square as easy as he is being able to be pushed, but, he's young. But he made a move on Bam. He put the ball on the ground. He went left, gave him a little crossover, and it was a turnaround jumper. Like, he has the ability to put the ball on the ground and make plays. He is already one of the most athletic bigs in the NBA. And when you combine that, not just like running and jumping, but like coordination as far as being able to put the ball on the ground. That is what I want to see more from him. He's shown it the last couple games, whether it be like he had to play with Kel'el the other night where he had a turnaround jumper. He hit Bam with another turnaround jumper. Like, he has talent. Let's limit the threes like we did last game and continue to be an athlete in space, whether it be creating for yourself or getting a shot created for you. So shout out to Sarr, man. He stepped it up. And again, we got to talk about the 4 blocks. Blocking shots. I almost want to call him a menace on defense, but he's a very good defender. Blocked Bam a couple times. Bam did dunk on him the next, when he did get the offensive rebound, but like, he's there. So shout out to Alex Sarr again. I would have taken him number 1, and he's starting to show flashes of why. Now, again, we got a long ways to go. We still got to figure out who we are, but dude can play.
Yeah, this is his second consecutive game with 4 blocks. He's averaging 2.8 blocks per game. I saw a stat that he's in like this elite company as far as just the most blocks in like a 5-game stretch. Defensively, I think he's going to be fine, especially once he puts on weight. Still has to figure it out on the offensive end. But this is a sign in the right direction, even though it was like a 20-point loss. But
it doesn't matter, man. We got here playing. We got it. The Wizards starting five minus Poole is like younger than a lot of college teams. So like, I mean, we good. We got beat by 20. I say we, but it's okay. Like they are young. They're extremely young. Bilal Coulibaly looks like a superstar in the making. I know that's like far fetched, but he is cold at basketball. So I mean, be competitive. That's all you ask of them.
I could say I was kind of early on the Bilal bandwagon, but no, I think Sarr has been impressive. I just wish like the praise was as loud as the criticism. He got criticized heavily and rightfully so with his performance in summer league, and he's had some off shooting nights so far in the preseason and in the season. But I didn't really see a lot of people talking about how good of a game he has and how good of a defender he's been.
But this is why we are the people that need to talk about him. Like if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. So, I mean, there's more reasons to tune in to us because like, he is getting better every single game. And I was one of the loud people telling you he was looking crazy out there in summer league. You can go back and check. So I'm going to be as loud about him being not good as I am about him being good.
If you're a Wizards fan, which they're my new league pass team,
I'm telling you, man,
you have to be encouraged. I just looked it up. He's averaging 2.8 blocks per game, and it is the second most blocks by a teenager in their first 5 career games in NBA history. Now, I know you can find a stat for anything. Their stats. He has the most points by a player that was age 19 years old, 36 days, and 48 minutes.
From France.
Yeah. Right. Either way, I think on the defensive end, he's been impressive. And if he can just figure it out on offense.
The talent is all there. And I know analytics is, take the three, and I get it. I'm not trying to sound like homeboy that's trashing analytics on Twitter. But if he mixes it in, because he can put the ball on the ground, and he does have good shooting touch. Like ultimately, he was the number 2 pick. Ideally, in my head, he is somebody who I would want to be able to throw the ball into late in the game because, yes, he can score off. Well, should be able to score off the roll. Yes, he'll be able to make spot-up jumpers. Yes, he'll be able to create offense pushing off the court. But if you can throw him the ball on the block with his athleticism and his ability to pass, then you really got something special there.
Yeah, speaking of the shooting touch, small sample size, but he's shooting 87.5% from the foul line. But there was a play that stood out.
What was that, Rob?
When he pushed the ball up court and threw the lob to Coulibaly. How often do you see a 7-footer leading the break in transition? And I mean, it wasn't like he was stumbling. I mean, he looked very natural pushing the ball up court and throwing a lob. I mean, it was like a 5-3 fast break lob. So
everybody in the NBA who is at his size and who can make that play, they get paid a lot of money and they are superstars.
Yeah. So that was a that was a pretty eye-popping play for a 7-footer. All right, let's talk about fellow Frenchman Zaccharie Risacher, who was the number 1 pick in the draft. We covered him on Saturday. He had it was a pretty rough performance, but he bounced back with a solid game against the New Orleans Pelicans, the banged-up New Orleans Pelicans.
Left of the Pelicans.
And I don't want to say it's a rivalry, but
it's definitely a rivalry, man. Did you see what Dyson Daniels did?
I saw a little bit of it.
Man, Dyson Daniels hit a 3 and he sprayed the Pelicans bench with the air guns. I mean, that's a rivalry.
I saw the still picture, and the only person that was like really in focus in the Pelicans bench was Eve Missy. But I did see that, and then of course DeJounte Murray had some choice things to say about the Hawks. So I mean, we'll see if it's a real rivalry. But Risacher had 11 points, 5 rebounds. Wasn't efficient from the floor, but what were your overall thoughts about his performance?
It looked good to see him come back and display confidence. He got off to a hot start, I guess kind of like again, but he was very active in the first half. Finished with 4 of 13. But it wasn't a great game, but it was an improvement over his last game. And as we talked about, as far as like the Pelicans being banged up, the Hawks were still banged up. Even with Dyson Daniels coming back, Like, there are still minutes available for Risacher to play and show he can play. He played 30 minutes last night. And, the good thing about being a rookie is that even though they did end up blowing out the Pelicans, he got some blowout minutes too. So there's always opportunities for you to improve, to make steps in your growth. So he did have a couple plays that stood out to me. He missed some layups, but he had to move off the dribble. I think it was on the left wing, and he missed the layup. But he put the ball on the ground because they did close out on him hard, and he got to the basket. He just wasn't able to finish. But he has struggled finishing. Some of that is strength. I think some of it is what he did say, and I think it was articles with The Athletic. He said, "I'm not the most athletic dude anymore." But again, that's okay. You just got to adjust and figure out how to make the ball go in the basket.
Got to figure out the three ball. Right now, he's shooting 21.9% from deep on 4.6 attempts per game. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about Jared McCain, who had back-to-back big games. We're going to talk about Zach Edey, but we are going to get into Reed Sheppard and Jaylen Wells, two guys that I think, they're totally different situations. I'm going to keep saying free Reed Sheppard until Reed Sheppard is free from Udoka's doghouse. And then I have a question. Should Jaylen Wells be the starter in Memphis? Before we get into the second segment, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I have a question for you, the listener. Do you ever take time to thank people who are important in your life? Do you send text messages or emails or call someone just to tell them how much you appreciate them and how much you thank them for whatever they've done for you, whether it's been a friend, whether they helped you out in some kind of way? Well, I have another question for you. Have you taken time to thank yourself? It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything that is going on in the world, and it's not easy. But if you need a little help about really appreciating yourself and congratulating yourself, or maybe you've been too hard on yourself and you're thinking about starting therapy to help you out with that, I suggest give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It is designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and you can get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp.com. And then you can use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp/LOCKEDONNBA. All right, second segment. Let's talk about Jared McCain. Jared McCain had a strong performance against the Memphis Grizzlies. 19 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. He's starting to find his rhythm. What are your thoughts on Jared McCain's performance?
Are they calling me the Jared McCain hater? Because I said I don't go like watching this game. Look, he played good. This is 2 games in a row. He had so I'm beating the hater allegations, right? I still think he's going to struggle to finish at the basket, but he had to play in the second half. He had Ja trailing him and pick and roll. He put Ja in jail. He finished with the high scoop, same foot finish over Jaren Jackson. Props to you, Jared McCain. He's going to have to be crafty because I don't think he's a very good athlete, at least at the NBA level. But I think the most important thing is that he did see some 3 balls go in. And that opens up everything else for him. I think earlier on, especially in preseason, he was trying to do too much as far as like he wasn't building off the jump shot, and the jump shot wasn't going in. It was trying to create, and it got a lot of helter skelter. But if he's making threes, he's going to give himself a chance to make floaters and in turn get to the basket. But this was a really good game from him. They had him in the game late, and it was about a 15-point game, but he was obviously still aggressive. What does it look like when Paul George plays tonight? What does it look like when Embiid comes back? Because then all those minutes kind of get shuffled up. We'll see. But this is encouraging for the rookie. So shout out to Jared McCain.
When I look at his stats, what's interesting about his numbers is that he's only attempted 10 3-pointers out of his 33 shots. So he's taken 33 shots. And he's only attempted 10 3-pointers. If I were to guess coming into the season, I would have thought the 3-point volume would have been a little bit higher. And since he's not really a good finisher at the rim. And of course, there's more shots inside the paint than at the rim. But overall, he's shooting 45.5% from the floor. If he can just get the three ball up, I think McCain is going to find a way to stick in the Sixers rotation. After the first 2 games, he only played 4 minutes and 4 minutes. The last 3 games, he's played 17 minutes, 22 minutes, and 17 minutes. So he is trending in the right direction. And this is his second consecutive game over double figures. All right, moving on to Zach Edey. Had a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and a block in that same game against the 76ers. Unfortunately, that game was overshadowed by Joel Embiid pushing the reporter. It wasn't an assault. First, it was reported as an assault, then a punch, but it sounds like it was a shove. I'm curious to see what Adam Silver does. But let's talk about Zach Edey. Had a double-double in 22 minutes. What were your thoughts about Zach's performance?
That was his first double-double, I believe, of his career. He did make a post hook. We've been talking about his post game and kind of lacking, but he caught Andre Drummond slipping, hit a left hook. He did show flashes on defense. He had a play where don't know which one it is, but the Martin twin, he stayed in front of him, but he was good. This is encouraging, and I feel like even though it is early into the season, this is what he is, 18 to 22 minute per game guy. And that's just kind of where he is. Definitely going to finish a lot of plays, but Edey's getting better, getting more accustomed to, I guess, the NBA speed and whatnot. So this is an encouraging game for him.
All right. I've been wanting to talk about it all weekend. I tweeted about it. I got a lot of different opinions on these two subjects. But first, I want to talk about Reed Sheppard. And I'm going to say free Reed Sheppard until Reed Sheppard is free from the doghouse. He only played, 7 minutes against the Warriors, had 2 points, 1 assist.
7 minutes in an overtime game against the Warriors.
The part that I just don't get, I don't get it at all, is Fred Van Vleet has been bad this year. He's been bad. I'm going to just read these numbers off to you. In the game that went to overtime, Van Vleet played 40 minutes and shot 2 for 12. Against Dallas, a couple days before, he played 39 minutes and shot 2 of 13. And that was following a 4 for 14 game where he played 41 minutes against the San Antonio Spurs. Over those 3 games, Reed Sheppard played a total of 15 minutes. Now, I'm not saying Van Vleet should be replaced as a starter. I'm just saying, what does Reed Sheppard need to do to get more minutes? Or maybe it's the other way around. What does Fred Van Vleet need to do to get less minutes? Because, he's been bad. He's been terrible. And I don't understand playing him so many minutes. And I've talked about this in previous episodes. I don't understand playing him 38 minutes per game 5 games into the season, especially if you're the Rockets and you're looking to play the long game.
So I understand why he's playing heavy minutes, because the West is a bloodbath, right? There's no days off in the West. There is one team that is just not good at basketball in the West. 2 maybe, but there's one team that's going to lay down. I'm sorry, I was going to be real, and that's Utah, right? They're laying down. Everyone else is going to compete. Portland is not good, but they are competing, yes. Right? The Clippers aren't good, but they are competing. The Pelicans aren't good right now, but they are competing. So, with that being said, I understand guys playing heavy minutes, because unless you're Oklahoma City and unless you're Phoenix, I wouldn't even say Phoenix. Oklahoma City is like the best team in the West, 6 games in, obviously, clear cut. But everybody else, you can't afford to lose games. You can't afford to drop games. The same heavy minutes that the Rockets are playing, the Nuggets are going to play. The Nuggets play tonight, and unless it's a blowout, those starters and Murray has a concussion, those starters are going to play 38, 39 minutes. I get it. It's a race for 10. The conference is extremely deep. So I understand that. What I don't understand is Fred probably shouldn't be playing 38 minutes in a sense if he's playing bad, but because he's a veteran, he's a champion, he's proven, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt, and they're going to credit him with, hey, man, this is just a shooting slump. Fred really hasn't been efficient the past couple years, but I will say this: there could be more minutes for Reed somewhere down the line, but at the same time, he has to play better when he does play. So the guy that's billed as being a shooter is shooting 40% from the field. Correct?
That is 12 points higher than Fred Van Vleet. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book, because right now, at this moment, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, and it is on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet, and that is only at FanDuel.com. Van Vleet, 37.8 minutes per game. He's shooting 28% from the floor and 28% from three on 8.8 attempts per game.
Actually, you know what? Let me stop you real quick, Ralph. I got a better argument. Let's leave Fred out of this. All right? Let's leave Fred out of this. Fred is an OG. He's a made man. I don't really care about that stuff, but some coaches do. Reed played in that game against Golden State. We said Reed played 7 minutes. Aaron Holiday played 16 minutes that game.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like there are some minutes there. The game before Aaron Holiday, he played. Now, Aaron Holiday's minutes are everywhere, but he played 16 minutes. So I guess you could say there could be minutes for Reed. He's just not getting them. But again, I didn't think that the minutes would be there because I thought they were going to trade the pick because Ime wants to win. And rookies don't win you games, especially from this class.
But
unless you're like Ryan Dunn.
But Aaron Holiday has only played in 2 games. And he was behind Reed. And then it looks like in the Warriors game, he surpassed Reed in the rotation because he played 16 minutes. And he had 6 points and 4 assists. So you could say he was effective in those minutes. So my question is, going forward, is Reed going to be the third point guard?
See, that's my issue. Is he going to be a third point guard? I think Fred's minutes are going to be Fred's minutes. He may not be a box score guy, right? But I think the issue is, will Reed be the third point guard? That's where you have a free Reed Sheppard campaign going. And
this is where I think it can be a challenge, which could present a dilemma between the coaching staff and the front office. If you draft a guy number 3, you have to at least give him an opportunity. Now, I'm not for just, and it's going to sound crazy with me saying this, I'm not for giving rookies minutes. I feel like they need to earn some. So I'm not saying Reed needs to play 25 minutes a game because of where he was drafted. I'm just saying the way Van Vleet has been playing, it's not going to hurt you to give the rookie a little bit more minutes. Now, Reed needs to be more aggressive and assertive when he does play. It seems to me as if he's playing like, and it's definitely a mentality thing, he's playing not to make a mistake in the minutes that he is getting. And if he plays more free, then I think that could help him. But he's trying not to make a mistake. He's very uncertain about his role. He doesn't know if he's going to get back in. And so I think his confidence is a little shaken right now. And that's where I think the coaching staff can help. Give him some minutes. At least give him 10 minutes per game. The Rockets are 3-3. They have the same record as the San Antonio Spurs.
You're right.
Now, listen,
you got to talk to Mr. Udoka. But here's the thing. the same beef that Reed Sheppard has, whether it be a rookie thing or he's not contributing thing. How do you think Cam Whitmore feels? He's playing 11 minutes a game. So it's like Udoka's playing the starters. He's running with the starters. And Tari Eason can hoop. And he plays, who knows what position he plays, because he's just out there hooping in a good way. So I don't see how Reed's future is going to change, because, again, I don't even think that the front office and the coaching staff are on the same page.
They got to figure it out somehow. Now, I'll say this much. I am a person that believes Tari Eason should be the starter at the 4 over Jabari Smith. Even if you look at their numbers, Tari Eason's numbers are better this year.
Tari Eason is the best per-minute basketball player in the history of basketball. You play him 12 minutes, he's going to get you 8-6. You play him 24 minutes, he's going to get you 28 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block. Like, he is just super productive. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but they're going to give Jabari the benefit of the doubt because he was the 3rd pick.
I think that, well, even if you look at the trend is saying that they're playing Jabari at the 5 and playing Eason at the 4, and Şengün hasn't been closing games because he didn't close that game against Golden State.
And he was like +7 or something like that.
So somebody's going to be the odd man out.
Yeah, I think with Houston, I think they're trending in the right direction, but they're also a team where I could see could implode because the roles aren't defined. And you have Şengün, who it may be too early to say it's the doghouse, but his production is down. But last year it was Jalen Green who at the beginning of the year. So I don't know what's going on in Houston. All right. Jaylen Wells. I had tweeted this over the weekend. Jaylen Wells got to start.
Where'd you get the inspiration from that tweet, Rob?
Myself.
Oh, this guy here.
Jaylen Wells got to start. He scored 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists against the 76ers. You've been a big Jaylen Wells supporter. You've been a big Jaylen Wells fan. I mean, we have said that
he should start from
he
now
should.
on.
Well, yeah, because let's just get right to it. When Marcus Smart comes back, Marcus Smart should not be in the Memphis Grizzlies starting lineup. So when I tweeted that I think you should start, I got a bunch of people agreeing, and of course there are a lot of people that disagree. My issue is Marcus Smart has started every single game he's played for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I was told that coming into the season, their plan was to start Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Marcus Smart. I thought they were too small. Well, if Marcus Smart is going to start, when he comes back, you have to replace him with Jaylen Wells. One, Marcus Smart is out of shape. He didn't come in camp in shape. That is a terrible look for a veteran. You got to be in shape. You had a long offseason. Wasn't like I went to the finals unless he was in Boston at all the games or something like that.
Mentally, he was in the finals?
What's that?
Is it mentally he was in the finals?
But even then, he wasn't in shape. So I would go with Jaylen Wells. But the Grizzlies have plenty of options. There are some people that said they think Vince Williams should be the starter. And then there's some that saying if when Triple J, well, he is back. But if Edey and Triple J are going to start, Triple J is Jaren Jackson Jr. And if Jackson Jr. and Edey are going to start on the front court, then Santi Aldama deserves to start because he's played well. So the Grizzlies have plenty of options, whether it's Vince Williams, Santi, Gigi, and there's not a bigger Gigi Jackson supporter or fan than me. In a perfect world, in my mind, is bring Gigi off the bench and just kind of let him get some run in the second unit. That way, he's not just, as James would call, a corner boy. And I will say Gigi was knocking those shots down last year. And then as the injuries piled up, he had an opportunity to show that he could play outside of being a catch-and-shoot guy. He had like a 40-point game or something like that. I did speak with Gigi at the Mavs game a few weeks ago, and he said that he thinks they're going to give him freedom to get to his mid-range shot and be able to, have some freedom to do some things off the ball. So I would love for Gigi to get some run in the second unit. But Memphis has depth. My thing is start Jaylen Wells because he can do so many things and does not need a bunch of touches. He's 6'8". He'll defend. He'll rebound. He'll knock down open shots. He'll make the right pass. And he can attack a closeout when you need him to. So I'm going with Jaylen Wells.
Listen, I said it the last episode we did together. It was time to start Jaylen Wells. And guess what? It's still time to start Jaylen Wells. And, Ralph, look, I go out on the limb. I'm taking flyers on Marcus Smart once guys get healthy. It is what it is, man. Yeah, I understand the veteran presence and this, that, and the other, but all right, Ja, it's time for you to be a veteran, man. You know, again, I know he's had his whatever going on, but that's cool. But look, you can bounce back. It's time for you to be a veteran. I'm trying to trade Marcus Smart. Let's get rid of those minutes. Scottie Pippen Jr. has shown that he is valuable as a backup point guard, and he's playing alongside Ja Morant. Guess what? Bane can play point guard in a pinch too. So we don't really need you as a point guard, Marcus Smart. Sorry, no disrespect. And you go to an opportunity where you can play more minutes. Milwaukee, they got a need for guys off the bench. There's several teams in the league that need guys off the bench. I'm saying this. Let's just look. Do what you got to do. Go get in shape. Heal up your ankle, whatever it is. Heal up your mental if that's the problem. But let's get them out of there. And we ride with Vince Williams. We ride with Gigi. And we ride with Jaylen Wells. I'm probably going to start Jaylen Wells because he's the better shooter of the three guys. At least in theory, he's supposed to be. The percentages aren't catching up to him. But he's the healthiest. He's in shape. Right now, the team is looking good. Ja is making plays. Listen, I dig into the deeper analytics, Ralph. This man had 25 potential assists against the Bucks, which means if guys are making shots, like he's Scott Skiles out there, right? So Jaylen Wells.
What?
Huh?
I know Scott Skiles set the assist record.
That's what I'm saying. He has Scott Skiles.
Yeah,
That's what
I just had to reiterate it because somebody's gonna.
No.
To Scott Skiles.
I'm saying Ja Morant looks like his playmaking has come up as extreme. Not extreme. He's taking it up a notch.
Yeah,
he can still score, but he's definitely making plays at a higher level than he had been in the past. Jaylen Wells is going to keep the defense honest. Dude can hoop.
He's shooting 38% from three, 38.7% from three. And he's made the most of his opportunities. He's 6'8". So even if the Smart is playing well, I still think that backcourt is too small. But with Wells, you get 6'8", you get rebounding, you get shooting. But I just don't feel like there's a need for him. Because if you say Marcus Smart, you're saying.
Marcus Smart, yeah. Like if you want to say, well, Jaylen Wells is 6'8" and he's skinny, we need somebody bigger. He's still 6'8". Marcus Smart is like 6'3", 6'4". And if we want to get bigger, we can just play Vince Williams when he gets healthy, right? Or if we really want to get bigger, we'll say, you know what, Santi, depending on the three, because again, some nights you just can't do it. I get it. But we really want to get bigger. We may just say, hey, Santi, you go defend the three because he has played good minutes as a 3 and a 4. Yeah. I just don't see the need for Marcus Smart. I'm putting all the pressure on Ja Morant to be the OG on the team and to step up his leadership. And he's done it because his leadership is by example of him making plays. He could easily, and I'm trying not to be long-winded, but he could easily sit here and say, you know, I've been out the limelight for my off-the-court stuff. Let me come back and prove to everybody that I'm the man and go try to average 30. Is he trying to do that, Rob? No. He's out there making plays. That's leadership. So, sorry, Marcus Smart. We appreciate you, OG, but it's a young man's game. I say that, and I'm older than everybody that's playing.
Marcus Smart isn't old. He just, to me, coming to camp out of shape as a veteran on a young team, set a terrible example, left the door open for a guy like Jaylen Wells to come in and take his spot. I like the Milwaukee thing. I don't know how they can make the numbers work, but Marcus Smart, I would say, look, watch these Bucks games, get in shape.
Yeah, it just works out better for you too.
And tell your agent to see if they can get you in Milwaukee because they need at least the Marcus Smart of old, not the guy that's playing for Memphis right now. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Now, before we go, I want to tell you about the Locked On newsletter because your favorite podcast has a newsletter. So whichever is your favorite team or whoever is your favorite team, whether it's Locked On Grizzlies, Locked On Lakers, Knicks, Bulls, Heat, whoever, there is a newsletter and it is a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. So sign up for free right now at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com, and start your day with the all-new and free Locked On newsletter. Once again, it's Rafael and my brother James, and we are out. But stay tuned. In our next episode, college basketball is here. We are going to preview the Big 12 conference and the top prospects in the Big 12.